Doug Lesmerises joins me right now. Joins us right now. It's the Bill and Doug Show. Bill and Doug on Ohio State football and Substack as well. Doug, how the hell are you?
I'm good. I've been revisiting last time I was with you guys, and you were trying to sell me on Garrett Nussmeier for the Browns.
All right, hey.
Coach got fired and he got benched. So anyway,
who are you trying to sell us on?
Yeah, who are you going to sell us on then?
Arvell Reese.
Ooh.
I don't know. There's no quarterbacks, man. I don't know what to tell you.
No quarterbacks?
Do you watch the NFL?
Well, there's no quarterbacks in the NFL either.
Well,
I mean, there's no, Fernando Mendoza is a very fine quarterback. If he's the number one pick as your QB, it's not the ceiling that you're accustomed to there. But he might be good.
Well, I'm here to talk. Well, you're here to talk Buckeyes with us because I got one name to throw by you about the NFL, but that's later on here. So Gus Johnson made a lot of people upset because they were going, well, the Heisman, and I said, I actually disagree with him in so many ways. Where Julian Sayin, he just hasn't had his Heisman moment yet. The team's been too efficient this year. They've just been doing not video game type things, but they've just choked out every single opponent they've had, and it's been great on defense and everything like that. But let me ask you this, Doug. Do you think that Julian Sayin's even the best player on the Ohio State Buckeyes? Because then I got another question to ask you after that.
I mean, probably not. It's probably Jeremiah Smith because he's probably the overall most talented, best compared to his peers guy on the team. But Julian Sayin simultaneously might be playing the best quarterback in college football.
Yes.
So, but yeah, maybe he's probably no. You line up Jeremiah Smith and you say that's the best guy.
So that's kind of my thing. Or isn't the Heisman supposed to be the best overall college football player? And if Jeremiah Smith's the best overall college football player, why aren't we talking about him? Is it just a quarterback thing? Unless it's a COVID year, is that it?
No. Well, we are talking about Jeremiah Smith. I do think Jeremiah Smith should be and is part of the Heisman conversation. I mean, you look at the history of the award, obviously, as you're pointing out with Devontae Smith in 2020 and Desmond Howard and Tim Brown, there's scattered receivers, but quarterback's the most important position. It traditionally is the place you'll find the Heisman winner, just like the NFL MVP is usually a quarterback. So, I mean, it's the hard part of this is this somehow a negative for Ohio State in its Heisman conversation that they have multiple really good players, and that means that nobody from Ohio State should win it, right? So that's the thing that is difficult to figure out. And also the idea of, you played a middling game and your team got behind and you needed a great last-second drive. That's better than beating everybody by a lot. Like Julian Sayin, I don't know if you saw the 45-yard touchdown he ripped to Jeremiah Smith in that Purdue game. That was a throw, man. But nobody saw it because they were beating Purdue by 28.
Well, because that's my whole thought of it with Jeremiah Smith. And I know he's part of the conversation, but I'm going, I think he should be the leader. I think he should be the odds leader of all of it. He's the best overall college football player to me. I don't want to mean it's a no-brainer or anything, but I'm going, well, that's what the award is, then that's who should be the Heisman Trophy winner is him.
It's not. I mean, you could, if you want to, read the definition, but, we understand that's, this is why didn't Ndamukong Suh win the Heisman for Nebraska in whatever year if he was the best player? And it's we kind of understand the deal, right? That quarterbacks are quarterbacks, that how your team does matter. To me, it's sort of it's a story. It's an award that helps tell the story of the season. I certainly am not arguing against Jeremiah Smith,
of course,
but I think the complicating factor is Carnell Tate. That if Julian Sayin was great and Jeremiah Smith was great, that's a little cleaner. But then there have been games when the way Carnell Tate is playing as Ohio State's other receiver this year, it's I don't know, is Carnell Tate just as good as Jeremiah Smith? And then that makes it a complicated thing. So they have two great receivers. So then if that leans you back towards the quarterback with your vote, I understand that.
Well, I look back to 2005, and, the USC, they were going for the jugular every time out, and that was a special team. And obviously, Matt Leinart was terrific, and they had Lendell White was terrific, Dwayne Jarrett, Steve Smith. But in the end, it went to Reggie Bush. But nobody's going to have the numbers this year for Ohio State from quarterback on down. Now, the advanced numbers for Sayin are insane and historic right now, but there's 1,000 voters. No. Do you think the average voter is looking at
I think
ADOT?
I don't think to say they're not going to have the number. He's like near the top in touchdown passes. Like if you look, it's not they're playing slower, but to say they're not going to have the numbers. Julian Sayin has 24 touchdown passes. That's tied for fourth in college football. He averages 276 passing yards per game. That's 13th in college football. And by the way, part of the issue is, so you're saying Reggie Bush in 05. Leinart, the quarterback, won it first in 04, and they went back-to-back. I actually think that's the model for Ohio State. Can you get Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith Heisman the next 2 years? And if you look in 04, there were two Oklahoma guys. Adrian Peterson and Jason White finished second and third with basically the exact same vote total. The two Oklahoma guys got more combined votes than the two USC guys that year. Leinart won and Reggie Bush was fifth. But I don't know what USC did, but Leinart elevated himself enough that he won. The Oklahoma guys split the vote, and no Oklahoma guy won. So that, to me, is a model. Like, if you're going to bring up Bush, that's like, okay, Leinart Bush, Ohio State should try to go Sayin Smith or Smith Sayin. But to me, that's how you try to go about this. But I think to say that the Ohio State guys don't have the stats is not true.
Well, here's what I mean by that. When I'm talking accounting stats, and I ran the numbers and normalized it for like a 13-game year because you can't look back at like Joe Burrow's 17 games or however many he played when he won the title. If you normalize them for 13 games, Sayin is way off any of the quarterbacks that we've had in the modern day over the last 15 years.
That's the wrong comparison. That's the wrong comparison. The sport has changed. A lot of teams are playing slower. The clock rules have changed. There's only 6 guys in college football right now who are averaging more than 300 passing yards per game. They're the quarterbacks for San Jose State, Duke, Baylor, Tennessee, Delaware, and North Texas. Do you see any Heisman candidates in there? Right? So, like, there's not a Joe Burrow who's throwing for 350 yards.
So if that's the case, why are we not getting more run for other position players if the quarterback stats aren't as crazy off the charts as they typically are?
I mean, I think the stats across the board are down a little bit, like with the clock rule changes. We've gotten a little bit out of the up-tempo era in college football. I'm here. Like, if we want to expand the Heisman conversation, I'm here for it. Reuben Bain early in the year for Miami before they lost 2 games as a defensive lineman, people were talking about him. But like it is a bit of a weird quarterback year. Like there isn't like a Joe Burrow that's popping up like that. But the raw stats I think are down generally. But if we want to talk receivers, if we want to talk a running back like Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, here for it. Jeremiah Smith, I think, will be in New York as a finalist. So I just think it's overall the game has changed a little bit in terms of like compiling raw stats for the best teams.
Doug Lesmerises joining us on the show. Has the NIL helped a little bit? Where I used to make fun of like Lima and go, why do you need to watch? This is before Indiana got good. So let me use Purdue as an example, right? Yeah. Like Lima, why do you need to change around your whole Saturday to watch Purdue? You know what's going to happen after the first quarter. There's no point. Like we don't need to yell at people for having fall weddings and all that other stuff. And now I'm like, I watch Ohio State, and I just marvel. I think it's impressive. These are not just like 40-point, like they do become blowouts, but it's not 40-0 in the first quarter. I love watching their defense just choke people out every single week. I'm enjoying the football games more than I ever thought I would.
Yeah, so I think, NIL's done 2 things. It's flattened out the sport because it's spread out the talent a little bit because you can move in the portal, you can spend money. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to this school because they're going to make me their number 2 paid player, and this other good school would make me the number 30 paid player. So it's spread the talent out, and then it's also kept some guys in school longer because like you don't have to run to the NFL if you're going to be a 5th-round pick. But I think it's been successful in like the reason that we have, Indiana and Ole Miss and Texas Tech and Virginia was, at the top of the ACC for a while, like some of these teams, is because the talent has moved around a little bit and is giving more team chances, and I think is making some more competitive games. But the other part of this is, if it's a Heisman conversation, we're handing out the Heisman like 75% of the way through the season now. So Ohio State and everybody who thinks they can win it all, they're planning for the 4 games they're going to play after the Heisman's handed out that don't matter for the Heisman, because you've got to make sure that you're as rested and fresh for the playoff as you can be. And that's not how you used to do it. It used to be you were playing one bowl game, and after the Heisman. And so it's changed how teams approach it, and it's slowed the game down, and I think it's brought the stats down, which is why I'd like to see the Heisman handed out at the end of the entire season. But most people disagree with that.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother debate, because then you wonder, are they just going to give it to the best player on the winning team every year for the national championship?
Like they basically do now.
Yeah,
but right.
Yeah, you're right. Doug Lesmerises, great points. Join us right now. We are in a collision course, it would seem, for the Big Ten championship. Indiana and Ohio State. Obviously, there's pesky Michigan in the way.
Yep.
But, I imagine for the 5th straight year, I'm going to say Ohio State's going to easily win that game. And are you on board with that? Am I going to be wrong again?
They have more good players, right? They're the better team, indisputably. Michigan fans would agree with that. But, what does that mean? So if Ohio State plays its best, it beats Michigan. Are they going to put themselves in a position to play its best? Like they haven't for the last 4 years. So, yeah, it's a weird game to try to analyze, because the football is, I'm picking Ohio State. The rivalry is, man, I don't know. Picking Ohio State is tough.
Doug Lesmerises joining us.
So I just want to ask, what is that Big Ten championship game going to be all about? Because if they are both undefeated, how much importance is going to be placed on that game, knowing the loser now with the new rules will still likely get a bye?
Yeah. So the winner of that game, if it's 12-0 versus 12-0, the winner's the 1 seed, the loser's the 3 seed in the playoff, which is not that big of a deal. So then it's like, well, what matters? Well,
Heisman.
Winning the Big Ten championship. Ohio State, hasn't been there in 5 years. I think that would matter. Indiana hasn't won a Big Ten championship since the 60s. They'd like to. They haven't played this year. I think that would matter, just in terms of a great game. It would matter. And as you just said, the Heisman's probably at stake. That it's going to be hard if Fernando Mendoza and Sayin and Jeremiah Smith are all close. Are you going to really vote for the guy whose team lost that game? I find that hard to believe that a lot of people are going to do that. So I do think it probably is for the Heisman. So then it becomes a debate of okay, well, if all you're worried about is the playoff and seeding, and the seeding doesn't really matter, and let's rest our starters in the second half, I don't think that's going to happen. But if somehow that would, then we've got to address conference championship games. Because if you can't make the Big Ten championship game matter enough for the teams to go as hard as they can, then you've got to change the structure of the sport. I think they will, but if there's too many people saying man, I don't even care about this, then you have to ask yourself why you're playing it.
I remember Lyman mentioned last year, there might have been some movement before the Tennessee game. If they would have lost to Tennessee, maybe there would have been a buyout of Ryan Day or something like that. Then he wins a national championship. Would Ryan Day ever consider leaving Ohio State now? Did he ever consider maybe leaving Ohio State before he won the national championship?
Yeah, I think maybe it was pretty toxic, right? I think the toxicity that sort of led to the firing of James Franklin, that's sort of where Ohio State was last year after the Michigan game. And so I always talk about 2 paths, 2 goals for Ohio State. One's the national championship, one's the Michigan game. And if you're not doing either, that's a tough way to live. But then when you you don't do the Michigan thing, but then you succeed at the highest level on the other thing, it's okay, well, now there's something to hang on to. So I think it would have been possible that it's just this is not working. Yes, your winning percentage is great, but this is a toxic atmosphere, and we are not achieving our highest goals. You're a good coach, it's not working out. But now that that's happened, and he has a national championship ring, we'll never be there again. If Ohio State loses to Michigan this year, it won't be as bad as it was last year, because whatever happened, you can still point to a national championship trophy. So it's the nature of the sport. It's the passion of college football. And then when there are high expectations and they're repeatedly not met, it can become toxic. And it's not about is this a brain decision? This is a heart and gut decision, and I'm not sure this can keep happening. But I think those days are gone.
All right, Doug. Man, I hate to do this at the end. The $2.4 billion private equity thing with the Big Ten, what is in it for Ohio State? Why do people think this is the end of the Big Ten, and what do you see happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I ain't no finance guy. My opinion on it, I haven't tried to talk to people about it. I'm not educated about it. I will say, just looking up some stuff yesterday for one of our shows, Michigan's endowment is 3 times what Ohio State's endowment is. Michigan, who is against the private equity thing, just has a lot more money in reserve than Ohio State does. Ohio State has more sports. It has more athletes in the athletic department. They have a lot of people to pay. And so maybe they would want the cash influx that would come from a little private equity right now. I think the layman, most of us are like, man, don't do that. Private equity shuts down stuff. All they care about is money. Why would you sell Big Ten sports to private equity? But I don't know. If 16 of the 18 programs in the Big Ten are okay with it, like private equity's all over the place. But I don't have an educated opinion about it. But I think if you're wondering why Michigan's on one side and Ohio State's on the other, it might have something to do with the money they have in the bank.
But do you believe USC and Michigan could legitimately leave the Big Ten over this? And then what does that mean for Ohio State?
I mean, I don't know what college sports is going to look like in 10 years. So if Michigan and where are Michigan and USC going to go? Are we even going to have conferences? If they would leave, then it's like, well, what's Ohio State sticking around for? So I don't know. I don't have sleepless nights about it because Ohio State's trying to go back to back. And I understand that it's important and it could affect the football, but also a year from now, we might be talking about some other money thing that affects the football. So we're still in the chaos of this. Everyone's still trying to figure it out because they're finally paying the labor force and they don't know what to do. And I think they still should think about cutting more things before they sell themselves to private equity.
Doug, thank you so much for the time. The show is Bill and Doug on Ohio State Football on Substack. Go subscribe to them on Substack. They're great. The Bill and Doug Show. Doug, thank you for the time.
Thanks, guys. No nothing, Cleveland.
Thank you very much. Doug Lesmerises.